It's a very diverse group, which is important for the work that we do. And I'd like to have a bit of a closer look to the diversity, and to start with that, the gender diversity. Unlike other finance conferences, we have what I think is a perfect, or what we think is a perfect gender balance. 51% of the participants are female, 49% of the participants are male. And yeah, I think it's worth an applause. It is how it should be, naturally, and we've mirrored it here on stage with Madeline and me. Gender balance is a necessity for good quality venture philanthropy. And I'm glad that we have it here. Then, further looking at the crowd, we see it is a very diverse background. And now this next slide is up. We see people from all kind of different players that are relevant to the field. Not only venture philanthropists and social investors, about a quarter of you here do that work, but also banks, financial institutions, intermediaries, venture capital, private equity players, academics, networks, social entrepreneurs. They're all here. And they all bring different qualities and different capabilities to the table. Companies, not to forget. Last year we had the first companies joining, corporates joining the conference. This year it is 4 times as much as last year in corporates that are joining the conference. All players have an important role in the ecosystem around generating societal impact, helping social change. They're all different voices that are geared towards a shared future. EVPA has been led by a vision for more than 10 years, a vision originally of the founders, which has helped us a great way, but we thought this year it would be good to have a look at it again, to see whether our vision and mission could be improved and could be adapted to the changing field around us. And I'm pleased that Madeline took the lead in that group, the group that also consulted a number of members and third-party stakeholders to rethink EVPA's vision. Madeline, can I ask you to lead us through that?
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Peter. I'm delighted to join with Peter and indeed with Hedda in welcoming all of you here, both new and experienced people at the conference. We hope it's a very good experience for you. As Peter says and has even shown in terms of the diversity of attendance, we have many different voices in EVPA, both within and outside EVPA, who all have an interest in seeing the association do well, to grow and develop and make a good contribution. So like all processes that have a successful outcome, it's not one person. So on the stage with me should be the other members of the team, but I would like to thank them just before I go any further. So Anne and Hedda and Massimo, Jane, Kurt, of course, Linda from the EVPA team, Fiona from my own team in Ireland. So many people helped to reach out to all of these different voices to hear what it is you felt about the current vision and whether you wanted to make some changes. And indeed, there were many, many different opinions and many different voices, but also there was a lot of commonality. And the most important commonality was that everybody we spoke to, whether they were interested in investing for social return only or for social and financial return, whether they were just at the beginning of this journey and wanting to learn how to do this and how to be effective in doing this, everybody had one thing in common. Everybody wanted to make an impact. Everybody wanted to make a difference, a positive change in the world. And for me, that was such a good message to hear across all that written feedback and all those verbal interviews. It was not only a good message for me, it was a very reassuring message, because as EVPA have grown, it has also grown in diversity. And it is important that there is some common glue, some common vision that pulls us together. And the desire to make positive change and to do some good is really, really an important clue from whatever perspective you come from. So it was reassuring. Also, it wasn't a surprising message, I felt, because in the end, how we measure our worth is what difference do we make in the world? That's really, when it comes down to it, what matters to us. And I think as we get older in years, we realise that more and more. And we do live in a world that is quite complex. It's a world that's full of beauty, it's full of tragedy, it's full of sorrow, and also a world full of hope. And we in the EVPA have to find our place in that world to make a contribution to tackling the big challenges that face us alongside the other people who can do that. So we have changed the vision of the EVPA, not to depart from the very good wisdom that comes from the founders, but I think to just say very simply that we see a world where philanthropy and investment combines to drive societal impact. And I hope that the way we've worded this does capture the real intent of all of you in the room from whatever perspective that you come from. And that leads us to have to really crystallise what is the purpose of EVPA, what is the distinctive contribution that we can make. So I'll ask you, Peter, to share the mission.
Yeah, so having pictured that as the world we would like to see, the role of EVPA in that would be to focus on philanthropists, venture philanthropists and social investors to help them maximize their impact. And through that, increase the resources that flow to this sector and that will be deployed in contributing to realizing the hope that Madeline just talked about, but also through collaboration and the large diversity that you saw is needed to together build, because no one can do it on its own. We need together build that new future, and collaboration is key, and each and every one of that bringing their own expertise and knowledge to the sector. So this is what EVPA will focus on as a mission. And then Madeline, please.
Okay, so that mission leads us very briefly to some very focused key strategic objectives. The newest one of these mirrors the desire to reach out and with others to co-create a well-functioning ecosystem for societal impact. So we are aware that there is so much diversity and richness and contribution that can be made from within EVPA, but also from outside. And increasingly the conversations I've been hearing over the last 5 years or so in this and other interesting associations where people are looking to make some good, is the barriers between these different actors are starting to dissolve and people are starting to respect difference and play to strengths. So there's a realization that there is a massive contribution that private funding can make to bringing about change, as a catalyst for change, as an acceleration of change. But there's also a recognition, and I know there are some public policy makers here, of the enormous role that governments play in sustaining and scaling change across populations and across the whole of Europe and beyond. They are the people with the mandate, with the elected mandate to be able to do this, so that's absolutely key. And we also see the very pioneering corporates that are coming into this space who are going way beyond what traditionally we thought of as CSR. Some absolutely fantastic examples and particular focus on that in recent months in the EVPA. So it's important that we look at playing to the strengths. One of the quotes that I particularly remember in one of the interviews was somebody saying to me, you know, we spend so much time making social purpose organisations more business-like. We also need to think about making businesses more social. So this divide is starting to be permeated, and I think that's very good. Then increasing the funding and expertise. There has been a 20% increase in the membership of EVPA in this year, which is an absolute terrific achievement by the team, by colleagues on the board, and particularly in the membership team, Olivier, Anne, and other people that have worked so hard there. So we have more resource coming into the space, more resource that we can collaborate with outside the space. And what's really important is to use that resource to best effect. And one of the key things that you will find, particularly those of you who are new, as you move around the conference, there's a real interest in learning in this association, a real appetite to learn. How can we do this? How can we work better together? And how can we work better with other people? So I'm going to finish on that, but just to remind us that we are really just on a journey that was started by the founders, 3 of whom I think are here today. I think we have Doug, Luciano, Serge. I haven't come across you yet, but I'm told you're here. And they started this flame, and they've been carrying this torch, and they've been the inspiration behind a growing European movement, but also a growing global movement. So the AVPN, the Asian Venture Philanthropy Network, is also growing and blossoming, led by Doug and Andrew here. And this is part of something that's becoming now worldwide. So we very much hope that you do enjoy the conference. And as you move through, do approach board members, approach the team. And if you have ideas that are occurring to you that really map onto these kinds of objectives or suggestions you want to make, we would be absolutely delighted to get those. And I know Kurt will have a particular keen ear out for that as he works towards the wrap-up session at the end of the conference. So Hedda, I think, is going to come and bridge us now to our very kind hosts who have been sponsoring this particular event, and we're very grateful to them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madeline. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what? We're going to change slides. I was thinking about this gender diversity issue, and I'm kind of like a big, loud woman. I think I need to get some gender diversity up here. Spanish gentlemen, come and help out. We need Jose, Jordi, Rodrigo, if you can come up here. Get some gender balance on stage. Welcome. So 3 of you guys versus me. Do you want to take a seat? Are you feeling, no? Cool? You're right.
We haven't been seated there, so.
You've probably been seated. These 3 gentlemen represent 3 of the 5 sponsors, the hosts, the reason why we are here in Spain, the reason why we have this magnificent place. 2 of our large sponsors, Bank and BBVA, will be part of our closing ceremony. And tonight we'll be at BBVA, which we're looking forward to a wonderful reception there. And these 3 gentlemen represent our 3 hosts, and I'm very delighted for you to be here. We thought, as just a word of introduction to Spain, I wanted to ask each of you a question. May I? I'm going to make it up, like you've never heard it. You want to start?
Sure.
Okay. So here we are, AVPA 2015, we're in Spain. Many of us associate Spain with sun and beach, vacation destination, but there's a little bit more to it than that. What is it that we, as a venture philanthropy community, need to know about the ecosystem here for the social impact of venture philanthropy space?
Well, first of all...
Oh, you want a microphone? Okay, discreetly move that way. Thank you.
I'll just use this.
Perfect.
Okay. So first of all, welcome. Spain is also a sunny and still a very touristic destination, so I hope you enjoy all of those aspects of the country. But meanwhile, while you'll be listening to many talks in the next 2 days, there's going to be many members also from Spain, and hopefully they'll be able to brush upon a little bit what is going on here, because I think it's a really exciting time for our country in terms of impact investing and social entrepreneurship. It's, I think, one of the most vibrant ecosystems right now of social entrepreneurship in Europe. At the same time, it's a country that's facing, well, pretty severe social problems in the next years in terms of education and social inclusion in the labor force and an aging population like the rest of Europe. So there's plenty of opportunities to do a lot of interesting action